The man could never have imagined that his strength came from others' imagination. He was clearly just an incompetent rookie, but in everyone's eyes, he was the world's strongest. The organization he built was so powerful that even the slightest stomp could trigger an earthquake. Every member of his team was strong, and everyone dreamed of joining his team. But no one knew that all of this happened because of a few misunderstandings. Moreover, Karai had an incredibly high luck stat. This meant that every casual action of his would be misinterpreted by others, and in the end, it would be seen as the best decision. But all of this began with a few childhood friends of his. At the time, they promised to become treasure hunters together and to visit every treasure shop. A treasure shop was like a dungeon, filled with many valuable items. But the condition was to defeat the monsters inside before obtaining the treasures, which is why they were called treasure hunters. Karai was very confident at first, but after they formed their first team, he felt a bit disappointed. Compared to his companions, he felt like an outsider, having no talent for combat whatsoever. He didn't contribute much during the entire journey, whereas his companions were all very powerful. Yet, his companions never looked down on him. Although it was fine to keep going like this, Karai felt guilty and decided to quit the team. He then told his companions, but to his surprise, they misunderstood. Instead, they all agreed for Karai to be the team leader. The reason was that Karai was very good at communication. Although they had never seen him fight, they believed that if they were strong, Karai must be strong too. To them, good communication was the most important quality. Time passed, and under the leadership of Karai's companions, they gradually became known as the strongest team. As the leader, Karai was hailed as the world's strongest and recognized as an 8th-level hunter. Because no one had ever seen him fight, the less they knew, the more terrifying he seemed. But no one knew the real reasons Karai never fought. First, his teammates were simply too strong. Second, he feared revealing the truth. Today, the battle group that Karai founded was called Initial Footprints, and they were recruiting new members. A battle group was composed of several smaller teams. The strongest team, Sighing Undead, was Karai's team. This recruitment event required Karai to be present, but he had overslept. So, he planned to sneak in quietly. However, a girl approached Karai, simply wanting to pass the time and introduce herself. Ruta, who was a 3rd-level hunter, was curious about Karai's level. Before she could ask, someone interrupted and said that low-level hunters were not allowed here. Though a 3rd-level hunter was already considered above average, joining Initial Footprints was still very difficult. This remark angered Ruta, and just as they were about to argue, a guard stepped in and warned that both of them would lose their entry qualifications if they continued. Realizing this, they calmed down. Karai managed to sneak into the venue successfully. Since it was her first time, Ruta didn't know much about the teams here. Upon learning that it was Karai's 5th time attending, she asked about the flashy-looking team. Karai began explaining. That team was the strongest one at this recruitment event, capable of taking on a 7th-level treasure shop. The blonde-haired boy at the front was the leader, AK, who was considered a 7th-level powerhouse. Anyone chosen by him was bound to succeed. However, the unfortunate part was that AK had never recruited anyone at a recruitment event before. At that moment, Ruta noticed a table further inside. Just as Karai was about to explain, the man from earlier interrupted again. He told Ruta that the table belonged to Sighing Undead and that the reason so many people were gathered was because they heard that Sighing Undead was recruiting members. Suddenly, a commotion broke out in the crowd. A red-haired boy wanted to join Sighing Undead, but couldn't find the leader. Frustrated, he vented his anger, but a girl stopped him and mocked him for lacking the insight to join the team. This made the boy furious, and he immediately challenged the girl to a duel.